Rich back here in New York City at Benzinga's Fintech Day. Always the best time, and it's even a better time with Matt Cashman. Always great to see you, the Principal of Investor Education at OCC. What a beautiful suit. What a beautiful guy.
Right back at you, Dan. Beautiful suit for a beautiful
Very
guy.
kind. Talk about being here. This is such a fun event, and I think it's so important for events like this right now.
Yeah, I think this event is great. We've been coming here for a couple of years, and it continues to deliver. One of the great things that I love about it is that it brings together so many of the things that I kind of care about. One of those is obviously I love to teach people about options. It's what I do. There's a lot of people here in the trading ecosystem who understand that. But then it also overlays this incredible layer of fintech and innovation and people just doing really interesting things in, across the ecosystem in lots of different places. And it's always interesting to be able to talk to them and talk about, what they're doing and what they're seeing on the horizon, because so many of the things that I've talked to people here 3 years ago sounded absolutely crazy. And they're like,
reality.
Yeah, they're happening right now, right? And that's a pretty cool thing.
It is, man. It's a fascinating time to be alive. And I you alluded to this, and it's such an important part of what you do, and just an important in general, education. Because while there is such excitement and so many cool things happening, people need to be educated. Why is that such an important thing for you?
Yeah, well, I think it's important on a couple of different fronts. I think the primary front is that when we're talking about trading and trading options specifically, options are leveraged contracts. And you need to understand that from the ground up when you're getting into understanding what's going on. There's so many people that just get into the YOLO atmosphere. And our message is always, that's okay. And that's one way to do it,
sure.
Right? Speculation is a healthy part of a vital functioning marketplace, but it's also important for people to understand the basics of these contracts, how they work, what they can do, what they can't do. And I think it's, many times it's a kind of an uphill battle sometimes, which is, it's not the sexiest part of trading.
But it's super important.
Yeah, it's really important. And it's something that I think people who are educated from the ground up are longer-term investors. They're longer-term users of the products. They understand the risks and the benefits of how these contracts work. And I think it's a really important cornerstone of how we do what we do and how I want the fintech world to also build that in from the ground up as well.
No, it's incredibly important, and you guys are doing such wonderful stuff. And I know that the nonprofit piece, the Option Industry Council, is something really important to you. Can you let people know about that?
Yeah, so the educational piece is the Options Industry Council. That's a non-for-profit that is functioning essentially as an educator within the OCC. The OCC is the largest clearing corporation of listed options in the world. This year, it looks like the OCC is going to clear north of 15 billion option contracts.
That's why they have the Cashman.
Well, I don't have anything to do with that, but the numbers are
staggering.
Staggering, I think, is a good way to put it. The initial bump that we saw during COVID that could have been explained as just a blip on the radar is not a blip, and it is, that was 10 billion contracts. Now we're talking about 15 billion contracts.
Unbelievable.
Regardless, the volume numbers are continuing to expand. The Options Industry Council is where we host all of our educational resources. That includes webinars, podcasts, videos, everything that you can think of, from beginning options information all the way to much more advanced material. And we provide that as an industry resource that's available free of charge and on demand to the public, because we're fully funded by the OCC, the Options Clearing Corporation. As it's a service that we provide to make sure people understand that those contracts that they're trading are leveraged contracts and that they have interesting capabilities, but they also have limitations as well.
No, it's awesome, man. It's such incredible work that you guys do and such important work. So, on behalf of Maddie, want to thank you for that. Something else that I think is fascinating, we were talking about it before we got going here, that we're both, into, is this prediction market piece right now. And, whether, we don't know if there's little gremlins or elves or whoever's behind, it is fascinating to me. And what is your perspective of now obviously these legal trading prediction markets, which also I think people need education for that as well.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just a little.
I think it's even more a part of the cornerstone of that marketplace because of the fact that that is really a nascent space that is just like, it's just appeared out of nowhere. And while, we were talking earlier about how that, it's been around for a little while, but it hasn't been around in the same way that it is now, right? You're seeing all of these large online brokerages sign deals with prediction markets,
Huge deals too.
or like FanDuel's and CME and these are all really big deals. I think it's pointing to a very specific idea that things are going to be moving in that direction. If you really think about how those things work and what some of their limitations are, it starts to get really interesting about, something that I think is a risk in those situations is that, those are, I hesitate to call them easily, swayed as one way or you don't want to be in a situation where things like that are, that someone can do something that they couldn't do in a listed marketplace.
It can be pretty tricky.
Yeah.
It can be tricky. So I get where you're going with
you
that.
can understand. I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
You're dancing like a beautiful ballerina at the Philharmonic here in New York City.
And it's a little slippery. The ice is very slippery. I'm also working on 2 hours of sleep. So
well, you got 1.5 more than me.
All right, good.
And you look great. Before I let you go,
Yeah.
I love looking to the future. It's one of those things where we're in this incredible time to begin with. But when you think, you mentioned 3 years ago, you're like, things are happening now.
Yeah.
You think they were possible to be happening now anyway.
Absolutely.
Where do you see things going 5-10 years from now? And, how important will that education piece be?
I think it's really important as the technological piece of this that's layered on top. Everyone loves to use the word democratizing access. And I think that's very true. And it has played out in many ways how people have expected it to play out. As we continue to democratize access, that means that everyone has access.
Right.
And that means that there is more of a likelihood that someone is going to be involved in that marketplace that doesn't necessarily understand what they're doing. And so as we continue to allow this technology to really, be an advocate for that, I think it's more and more and more important to make sure that the educational layer is built in at the base level, to make sure that that's part of what you have to do in order to have access to those things. Because in some ways, that's really the only way to incentivize people to do it, right? Like I said, it's not the sexiest part of options trading, but it's a really integral part to understanding how the market works and how your risk is playing out right in front of you. And so I would love to see as many people who are involved in, democratizing access are also democratizing access to the educational layer. And I think that's going to be a really important part of how this plays out in the future. And we're really excited about how we're able to do that at OIC.
Well, so beautifully said. And thanks for all you do, Matt Cashman, the principal of investor education at OCC. It's always an honor to be with you.
It's great to be here.
And it's great times ahead.
Thanks for having me.